Big picture, still in the same range. Target is still to expect that range high to be hit after we had this Model 1 accumulation, broke main structure back to bullish right here. So from here, the range high was expected. However, which is typically Bitcoin behavior, is that we did not get obvious retests, and that instead price is just forming higher lows and higher highs. So this was our market structure high, market structure low, and now we printed a new high, while it is building quite a lot of liquidity up. However, unless you break structure, that liquidity is just that can just be seen as higher lows. So don't fall trapped into thinking that this must always be taken. Sooner or later, it's very likely to be taken, but yeah, as I always say, structure is more important. So you can better see this just as a bullish structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then indeed this is eventually liquidity, but that can rest for longer. So currently we are breaking out of this local range. I see it already as a successful breakout, so I think that it's a matter of time before we reach the range highs, and probably this week. The only thing I keep in mind is that it's Tuesday, so we could form our high of the week today as well. However, if we simply look at it from a bullish market structure perspective, in which we have simply from here a high, higher low. This did not take out that high, so this internal. So then we take out this new high. Then this was our last higher low. This is our new higher high. So until proven otherwise, this can just be a higher low for a higher high as well. And if we look at it from a local range perspective, in which this is our range, then we have the value area high aligning at this level, which aligns with this super clean demand. I believe it's clean 3-hour demand, and it's also our 1 hour market structure, which is this low. So if we look at the local structure, and we skip a few points because early this week we had a 4-hour swing failure. So I'm just gonna count it from here: high, higher low, then higher high. This is the last 2 candle pullback before this new high. So this is our 1 hour market structure level, the red line as always, and then we can see the confluences of the 3-hour demand below, the value area high of the range here, the 1 hour market structure level, and the structure. So until proven otherwise, this can just be a higher low for a higher high, taking out that main range high. So for now, that's also my main expectation, is to just see this. The only other way I could see maybe is we wick that high today during the New York session, then get an aggressive buy to sell, break structure, and then come back into this demand with a deep pullback, weakness on that retest, and then this could be still a distribution as well. However, I think it's not likely to see it play out, but we made the pre-planning where this could technically still be a 1, 2, 3 bearish tree drive. I pre-planned this yesterday as well. However, I don't really like it anymore because the move out of our range is super strong. So always what I say is the movement into your third tap is super important. And in this case, you can see that we have a lot of strength. We are not showing any weakness. So then I think it's unlikely we see it play out, but I'm keeping an eye on it. For now, main expectation is to see a higher low for a higher high. Depends where that higher low will form, but here in the meantime, not much to do on Bitcoin. Also here we are building up quite some liquidity. So sooner or later, this could turn into a quick flush, which is often what Bitcoin does, where it just grinds higher, and then creates a lot of liquidity, and then you get a quick flush down, and then potentially back up again. So this is what I would like to see, just purely from an execution point of view. Because here I can look for longs again. If we tap into that demand and break structure, then this can be a long again. And if we see weakness with a clean break of structure, you could potentially look for shorts. But right in the middle here is not much to do for me. And I'm simply waiting for this demand to be hit or for higher prices and then see weakness. Which also aligns with the view on USDT, where we are on our way to that range low. So good to see that always after you have your range high, range low, we deviated the range high, that the other side of the range often acts as a magnet. So here we can see that price had a few moves up, but overall it's just forming a downtrend with lower highs, lower lows. So unless we take out to the range low, I'm expecting a new lower high for lower low, or just a direct move into this range low. And then we have to see what the reaction will be. Because if we zoom out to the 4 hour, for example, we have this as our range. Big imbalances below, but we have to always stay open if we are, like I am mostly a range trader. So this is not a level where I am getting super bearish on crypto. This is a level where I'm going to be looking for the reaction. How do we react? Do we get a move back into the range? And then I'm very simply just going to look at it from a range perspective again, where if we get our tap 2 here, we break back in the range, then this could just be a new accumulation. And then I'm simply going to be looking for longs on this, so shorts on crypto. However, for right now, too early to tell what is going to happen, because price could also just take the low, give a little bounce, and then sell off further. And then we have a range breakdown. And then there is a lot of downside, because this could then be your range, distributive range. And then we can expect price to return probably all the way back to this level right there. So interesting weeks and months incoming. For now, I simply have my alert at the range low, and I'm gonna see what happens from there. So that is the plan for BTC. If we look at, like I shared it this morning as well, where we had the London highs, and I said it's very, very, very likely we will take them out, and we are already close to taking them out. I think we can literally build a strategy around it. If we have London high or London lows, that they will be taken out. So let's have a quick look at the stats. So here we see the daily. Well, we don't have to put a lot of effort into finding what our bias is for today, because obviously this is following the bullish trajectory and absolutely not a bearish trajectory. So this is behaving like a very, very bullish day, but we are already up in the upper 80%. So that means that price is super, super bullish, which could mean that we are continuing very bullish today. But overall, we are in the upper part of the bullish price behavior. So that can often mean either you continue your bullish trend with new highs, or we cool off a bit and already made quite the extension today. But what I'm more interested in is to see our weekly candle. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Now again, we don't have a bias chosen, but you can see that we made our low early in the week on Monday and now are pushing upwards. So this is starting to look like a good bullish week, where we form a low early in the week and now start pushing higher. If we look at the bearish weeks, then if we're gonna get a bearish day, we need to reverse today, as you can see, because if we push above this later, then there is no week where you see that kind of price action. So if we get any sort of bearish move, then that high should be printed today. And that's the only reason why I'm also keeping that potential Model 1 in mind, although I think it's super unlikely. But it could still happen. But if it happens, it has to be today. So if after today we make new highs tomorrow, then just don't watch the short button, because it probably will keep pushing higher until later in the week, as you can see here, where if we are indeed bullish, 92% of the weeks make a new high, and 93 put the high in further. So if we look at, if we're gonna get a bullish week, which so far seems likely, then 50% of the bullish weeks would reach 70.6k. Yeah, so that is pretty high. 50, 80. So let's say 17.6, which is pretty high up. So if we indeed get a bullish week, which either gets invalidated today by printing the high today and then moving down, invalidating this demand, and then go for all the liquidity, which is a scenario that is possible, but I think unlikely. But otherwise, if we go for the bullish week, then it is super likely that our weekly low is already in, which is this wick below the point of control. And then we can look for either price pushes higher and then a higher low there, or we get already that retrace here. But we can see that there is still plenty of upside, because what was it? 70.6k, that's where 50% of the bullish weeks would come. So that's around here. Let's make that green. So then you can see that there is quite a lot of upside. So if you missed this local move, don't think I'm too late for longs. I'm gonna short because I've missed the move. Don't think like that, because you can see that there from this point is still 6% move where most of the bullish weeks will reach. So that's yeah, quite a lot of upside. So therefore, if you have some patience to wait for a good entry, which always will come eventually, either be it a quick flush or just a move into here and then a bullish break like that, you can also join the trend. So let's see what we have during New York Open. But overall, I think we are going to have a bullish week, or we need to see like a lot of sellers stepping in today, which could happen, but let's see. Then for the alts, let's first go to high, because I think high looks pretty clean on multiple ways. We are still in this big range high, range low, deviated the range high, back in the range. Then last few weeks we had that Model 1 distribution right here, after which we started this local downtrend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Just purely from an order flow perspective, I would still expect a lower high for a lower low towards the range lows. So if we can move into here, that will be super interesting level to look for potential shorts. But what we cannot forget is that we also have, like, it's not a 4-hour structure because it's an inside candle, but it is 3-hour. So if we look at the market structure on the 3-hour, we have low, lower high, swing failure. So we know the rules. If you swing fail a market structure high or low and get an internal bullish break, then the high becomes your target level, in which that is also your market structure level. And then here we broke it. So we have a market structure low, market structure high, swing failure, weak targeted high, tested and broken. So based on this, we can expect a higher low for a higher high. And that is where it becomes super interesting again, because this weekend I traded that local Model 2, which is basically low sweep tap 3 towards the range high, and that one is now broken to the upside. So if we look at it from a RIMC, which is a bullish range, because this was an accumulation, and this is our range that broke to the upside. So then we take the volume profile from the low till the breakout candle, have this to do not extend, and then this was basically our accumulation. This is our initiation. We could get a mitigation before continuation, RIMC. So I'm super interested in longs down here. Hopefully something like this, where we retest the value area high and point of control of this accumulation range into that demand, get a flip back to bullish, and then step in towards the supply. And that is where shorts started to make a lot of sense again. So super clean levels to watch for potential tree drives, market structure confirmations, stuff like that. On hype, so I have my alerts set, and one thing I want to look, where is our weekly low? Yeah, so we have our weekly low right here. Our current weekly high is right here. So quick look at the stats will probably show us that we are having a bullish week. Yeah, so here we can also see early week low now pushing higher, which so far is behaving like a bullish trajectory. And we can watch how to bearish weeks. Okay, so there are weeks where we move down, move up, and then still reverse, but overall you should be trading around here. And the bullish weeks, yeah, then we see that it's following a typical bullish week. So that also would mean that 65% of the bullish weeks had the low in by now. So then our weekly low is the invalidation. And if we continue to follow a bullish weekly trajectory, then we can expect price to go to at least 66 point, well, let's say $67. And that would align with the target of testing this major supply with the FIB, because $67 is right here. So also then, if we get a pullback here, then your RR already becomes pretty attractive, because your super clean invalidation is the weekly low. So let's say a 50% retrace is around here, and you could enter there. It's not my style of trading, but there are people who trade like this, and then you have also like a super solid setup. Personally, I always wait for structure, so I want to see lower low, lower high, lower low into my POI, then a bullish break, and then here I want to get in, invalidation here, target there, and then you get the same RR but with more certainty. So I think hype super interesting to trade both ways. Hopefully we get a retracement to enter some longs, and otherwise I simply wait for potential shorts to be formed down here, because main structure is still leading. And if we look at the FIB from this high to this low, then it aligns with D7, 8 with this refined supply. So this is a super interesting level. Then quickly to the other Sol. Still running a long on this since last week as well, which was almost identical to the hype setup, but then a bit more on the higher time frame. Sol was pretty locally right here. This one was a bigger range, but comes down to the same range low, range high, SFP of your market structure low, internal breaker structure, which technically means that you have market structure low, market structure high, SFP, you come back in the range, therefore you confirm your SFP, then you only need an internal bullish break, which we got right here, because here we have buy, sell, this is the high, brings you into this low. Break. At this point, your high is technically your weak targeted high. So here it's combining market structure together with the local model 2 Wyckoff model, and a lot of buy side liquidity here. So super clean setup, and pretty certain it will reach the target sooner or later. The only question is when will it reach. And locally I see some exhaustion because we have here an SFP of the high, and then here another SFP of the high. So this could potentially be a local bearish tree drive where we have a lot of sell side liquidity resting below us right here. We already took some, as you can see. So we took some and are now stuck. But what I would love from a new execution perspective would be to take out that sell side liquidity, tap into this demand, and then from there see if we can look for longs again, in which you could technically draw a new range right here, where if this is your local bearish tree drive, it can also be seen like a model 1 distribution. And then if we take out this low again right here, move up, take it out again, bullish break, then this can basically be a reaccumulation towards your technical target, which is the range high. So also here, super interesting, depending on if we first take some sell side liquidity or not. But overall, I'm pretty sure that this one will go to the range high to complete its accumulation model. However, if you're not in position right now, then yeah, longs, you are too high up in your range. You don't have a clean invalidation, so you cannot really take longs here. So then I will just be patient, wait for lower. Locally, it broke structure on the upside. So if we look at market structure, basically starting here, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then price made a 10-minute bearish break, which could add to the fact that we have a bearish tree drive with a bearish break structure, so that this is going back towards this demand. Is it worth a short? That's depending on the situation. I would not say it's a high probability one, but I can see play out. But I would be more focused on the long, where I see that we also have this refined demand, 10 minutes, on top of your bigger range. So that is clean. Then quickly, because I don't have much longer as 10 minutes. Stao. We have been watching this one since this local range, where we expected this local range to flow over into a bigger range, which was this range. And now we have a tap 1, we have a tap 2, we have a tap 3. The range was not looking too good yet, but it is holding the range just as I wanted to see, where we broke this 1 hour downtrend back to bullish, therefore validating this as a potential third tap of the Wyckoff, aka our clean invalidation, and we retested the range and are now getting a reaction away from it. So that are all positive signs. And look here, we have some fresh demand, 4 hour, this sell to buy, and then did lower 4 hour. So extreme demand is now down here. So also here, if we get a retrace, question is if you don't always get it, it can also just pimp higher. But if you get a retrace like this towards our demand PY, and you get internal bullish breaker structure, then this is a super clean long towards the range high, in my opinion. So also here, if we get dips, I think we should embrace them. And yeah, I would not be super interested in shorts here. I think this is simply a long if we get it, but I would not short it. So one extra alert. There. So it looks pretty good. How is the volume profile looking? Yeah, okay, so volume profile is still looking a bit weird, but we at least reclaimed the value area low. So that also adds to the fact that if we get a retrace, we can look to trade it up at least there. But if you look at all this liquidity, then I'm pretty certain the range high is next. So also here, super interesting setup. Hopefully we get a retrace. And then quickly going over Uni, because I saw that Daniel shared this, and I saw some other people share charts, which I love to see. If you see clean, especially Wyckoff models, if you see them, share them, because I don't have the time and energy, and I don't want to look at them, simply because otherwise it gets too much and it only hurts me. But if you have clean models like this, where you have a range high, a range low, sweep your low, sweep it again, bullish break. This is basically textbook model 1. Then we can watch here, for example, like this one was a bit hard to trade because the move into your third tab right here was pretty aggressive. So I've not dived too deep into it, but you only got your structure confirmation. Yeah, then you have to go to really low time frame, which is like on the 5. Yeah, so on the 5 minute you broke it here. But then technically you also wigged it a few times. So maybe here you had the bullish break. And this was really clean. Because here you have demand, and there it got mitigated. So then I don't think I would have entered here, because it's not really a confirmation. You are not truly accepted back in your range. You are probably also way below your value area low. But the moment you get that strong expansion, you basically confirm that third tab is your invalidation, and then you get a retest of this fresh created demand. So that could have given a clean entry, where you either enter here or you enter for that bullish reaction from it, and then can get into a low, where this will be the setup then, which will be super clean, 6.7. That's very nice. However, I was not aware of it back then, so right now I am still pretty certain that the range high will be hit right there, simply because that's the target. And as long as we don't take out these equal highs, then I'm still interested to get potentially involved. However, the only way I can do that is if we at least retest this range demand, and preferably that refined demand. If we come back into that, get some structure, then I'm still interested to get into longs towards that range high level. And the same is true for OP, which was also clean. I saw that, I think Daniel as well treated it like the model 2 from here, and it's also valid, because essentially it comes down to the same. So you can pull your range from low to high here. Then you have tab 1, tab 2 breaker structure, so then you look for a model 2. If price retests extreme demand, flips back to bullish, and then you take the long. But I saw it from a bigger range, where we basically came down here, lower high, again SFP, break. So this is the reversal setup we talk about each time. So here, but technically you broke structure back to bullish. So pull my range from high to low, come back in the range, sweep the low, push back up, take out the low again. So technically bullish 3 drive / model 1 accumulation, broke structure back to bullish. So right now, let's see, yeah, high is taken. So again, week London highs taken out. And right now we have a clean bullish break. We left clean demand behind, so also here, like, it could first come back up. But overall, I think this over the next few weeks, if we test that demand and break structure, that this is a super nice setup as well, either for a swing trade or for just a spot buy. Because if you buy it, like technically, let's say you buy it a little lower, right there, your invalidation is the third tap. You should not lose that, otherwise the whole setup is invalid and the field accumulation is super bearish. So then this can go much lower. And your target is always, your main target is always the opposite side of the range. So in this case, the range high. And in this case, it's even cleaner because we have so much liquidity in the upper part of the range. So then buying is like good for our setup. So a risk, let's say $100, then you make 400, which is just very solid. So I like to see these setups. Keep sharing them, and then we can make use of them. Let's see. I see question: would you have entered uni after the confirmation of tap 3 despite the break being way below the fell? Still, no. Let's see, where was the fell? Like, I would probably only did it on it after this expansion, as I just explained, and then the backtest probably there. Let's see, where's the value area low? Yeah, so here value area low is way too high. Probably here it's, yeah, okay, so also still below the fell. Yeah, it's not super clean. Yeah, that's why I like to trade the coins I know out of my head, because I don't know how uni typically behaves. But if you were super sharp and watch for that 1, the 2, the 3, probably some demand right here, then, and that's what's also nice about the Model 1 is that your invalidation is so clean. So the moment this third tap is set and you get strength like this, then you know already, like, either this one holds and we have Model 1, or it doesn't hold. So if you then get a pullback into your demand right here and the first sign of buyers, then sometimes it can just be worth it to long it, stop loss there, and then let it run, because your invalidation is so clean. Because if you take out the low again, then the whole setup is invalidated. And normally, like, time frame also depends, because this is a like 8-day range, which is pretty good. If it's on the 5 minute, then it's a different story. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Yeah, I have to go, so I can't talk about much more, but I think most important things are already said. I think it's clear what I'm waiting for on BTC, simply retest or higher, but I think overall likely to see a bullish week, or we need to get a strong sell-off today, which could potentially create our weekly high, but I think it's lower probability. And for the alts, they all look pretty clean if they give us retests. So hopefully we maybe form the high today or tomorrow, then get a pullback so that these alts can get a bit closer to their weekly lows into demand, and then get into some long positions, fresh long positions. But I think pretty clean how it all looks. BTC super strong right now, so let's see how it goes. Okay, great. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. Bit of a shorter one, but I think also still clean. We talked about everything we needed. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and see you guys in the Discord and tomorrow, and happy clicking as always. So cheers, and see you guys soon.